What's going down, guys? TK coming at you, and I heard an interesting concept today from a very few. There are very few people who are paying attention to the global economic crisis, and the statement was that the people who are awake have a moral responsibility to wake up those who really don't give a damn. And I found that interesting because if it's not on television, people typically don't care about whatever's going on in the world. And then, if it's something serious, they don't process the information and actually act on it to do something. So, I don't agree with the stance that you have a moral obligation to wake people up. I think that God gave everyone free will, and if your primary attention span is on television, some football game, or some episode of Empire, then that's your prerogative. You know, if you don't take the time to learn, or if you're not paying attention to the fact that the dollar is losing value every single day, and that the world economy is moving away from the dollar to the point where the system is at economic collapse, then you deserve to deal with the repercussions that comes with a devalued dollar, hyperinflated economy, and what some people might label as stagflation. But those changes within the economic space are something that most likely you'll deal with after it happens. Of course, by then it'll be too late to protect yourself, to diversify, to add gold, silver, and cryptocurrency into your portfolio. But I think every human being has the right to focus and pay attention to whatever they feel is most important. So I don't feel a moral obligation to wake people up to the economic crisis that is the devaluing dollar. You know, the government stance is to raise the credit limit once we reach our credit limit, and to print more money once we run out of money, which devalues the money that's in your pocket. And like I say, the world is starting to say King Dollar is no longer king, it needs to be dethroned, and has come up with other financial solutions in terms of selling U.S. assets, not buying U.S. assets, and also an alternative to the world reserve currency, whether that be the Chinese gold-backed yuan, or whether that be a basket of currencies through the IMF, or whether that be the IMF world currency that will soon be introduced. But if you're not familiar with any of the three items that I just mentioned, then it's your prerogative not to care, not to pay attention, and not to prepare for your family's future. I mean, I think a lot of people will end up like Greece. When the bank shut down, they were running around like a chicken with their head cut off, trying to find an ATM machine that actually worked. When the banks reopened on the following week, most people took a haircut of 25%, because when you put money in a bank, it's not yours, it's actually the bank's. They loan it out and leverage it 30-1, if they even have a leverage ceiling. And that's the nature of fiat money. Fiat money is a debt instrument that basically the government allows you to use as legal tender, but it has no intrinsic value. And the deemed value is only supported by faith and confidence of its users. So of course, what's on television supports the faith and confidence of the dollar in spite of the devaluing nature of the currency. So what I want to say is that I think it's an individual responsibility to wake up. I think it's an individual responsibility to protect yourself, create some sort of hedge against the devaluing dollar, and have some sort of backup plan for you, your family, and your future. And I think, like financial insurance, if you don't have any and a disaster happens, oh well, it's just a lesson that you have to learn in terms of being smart enough, responsible enough to plan for future events and stop living for today. Everybody lives check to check, debt to debt, and future planning is not a conversation that the average person is willing to have. So if you're not thinking 5 years down the line in terms of some sort of financial insurance, then that's your ass. And you deserve it, because your foolishness is not the responsibility of everyone else around you. Every person is responsible for their own success in life, and that goes to hold true with finances when it comes to the devaluing paper money that you hold so dear as a god, not realizing that that's a false god and it's on a financial cliff. There's a lot going on within the economic space. I'm sure a lot of people watching this video are not familiar with the $1 trillion derivative bubble that's associated with Deutsche Bank. And if Deutsche Bank becomes the next Lehman Brothers, it's going to cause a bigger version of 2008, because it will domino affect other banks that are holding the same debt. And that collapse, or that financial bubble pop, will spill over into other economies, because the world economy is all connected through central banks. So one major bank failing has ripple effects on other banks, and they also get pulled into the same failure. So if that's not a concern of yours, and your primary concern is the next pair of Jordans, then again, you deserve to deal with hyperinflation, which will be the primary result, and you'll deserve to deal with devaluing dollars in terms of the money that you currently have in your pocket. I don't think that anyone who takes the time to study, to pay attention to world markets, I don't think that anyone has the burden of someone else's laziness to bear on their shoulders. Every individual has to make their own choices, you know, and that's the purpose of this video, is just to counter the statement of I am my brother's keeper. My brother needs to learn how to pick up a book and pay attention and pick up some financial insurance. How many people watching this video actually have gold and silver on auto ship from a leverage-based payment program that gives you a commission every time you get somebody else involved? Raise your hand if you currently, every month, have a portion of your salary going into gold and silver. Okay, how many people watching this video actually own cryptocurrency and use it as another form of payment, given the fact that 500,000 stores accept Bitcoin? How many people out there know what Bitcoin is? In the world of finance, when it comes to alternate means to pay, what means do you currently have in your wallet? Is it just cash? Do you own credit cards? Do you have Bitcoin? Do you own gold, bullion, and silver? You see, all of these are just options, financial options to strengthen your life and help you be more successful in this ever-changing economic space that we live in. So, if you watch this video and you can't raise your hand to any of the things that I mentioned, I think it's an individual choice, a personal responsibility, and definitely your free will to do as you choose.